Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all well. It's lovely to have your company on this Monday evening in August. And gosh, it's a hot one today, isn't it? Well, it is in the UK. Well, we're not just used to it, are we? That's the problem. So every day seems to be boiling hot. I'd like a bit of rain. If anybody's got any spare rain, can they please shove it my way? That would be very much appreciated. So yeah, welcome to another Making It Monday. It's lovely to have your company. I've got lots of people watching already, and it's only been a few seconds. How lovely. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to bring these projects to you every Monday. And this time I think we've kind of excelled ourselves a little bit because we've got Beatrice. And Beatrice is the most glorious pouch, shaped so it stays square, well, rectangle. It doesn't go in, because a lot of pouches go in depending on how you cut them. Has a little bit of patchwork along the front there. Mine's plain at the back, but you could listen, you're going to make enough flying geese here to do the back as well. And I'll give you a few options on what you can do there. But yeah, so hi Arlene, welcome. New York City, that's a long way away. Actually, I think New York has very similar temperatures to us. How is it with you, Arlene? Let me think. You're a little bit behind us, so you're kind of not quite midday. You're about, what, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that? Yeah, but I think there's fairly similar temperatures, I think, from memory. But anyway, back to Beatrice. Yeah, it's a glorious pattern. We've got zip tabs on the end, so it's lovely and neat. We've got a complementary zip. You know what? It's like all the other patterns I do. They are yours, right? I make them. I have the pleasure of putting them together, and I have the pleasure of demonstrating them. But you know what? When you purchase this in whichever format you purchase this as, it's yours, and you can do with it what you wish. Okay, it's fully lined, and I have stitched my turning gap. You can have a look in there if you like. Oh yes, it's stitched. I have to say, I think this is going to be a firm favourite with me. Oh, hi from hot Las Vegas. Oh, Mindy, I bet it is hot. Well, it's a desert, isn't it? But at the end of the day, mind you, it feels like a desert here. Our grass isn't grass anymore. It's just all straw coloured. And we went for a walk yesterday, John and I, and everywhere is just like pale yellow. Some of the ditches, around the village where I live, we have a huge drainage ditches. They're massive, and in the bottom of them there's weeds that are green. They are only weeds, but everywhere else looks very sorry for itself. So a good downpour. So if you've got any, bring it my way. I know, Mary, turning gap stitched. I know, I'm just showing off there. I couldn't resist. Anyway, turning gap stitched, lovely spotty lining. We've got what have we got this time? Oh, we've got lovely flowery lining tonight. Now, I made mine in linen because I do love a bit of linen. And if I'm going to use it for myself personally, I will, more than often than not, I will make it in linen because I love how it looks. I love how it feels. I like that it gets a little bit distressed looking. Love all that. It's got its own character, hasn't it, linen? But it may not be your thing. It may be that you like to have a crisp sort of look to these things. So maybe a quilting cotton is ideal. But actually, whatever, even make it out of tweed, tartan, something like that. And obviously you could upsize it. Just when you go to print it out, you can always upsize it. You'll have to see how that works out, because obviously the pattern piece is big-ish, but it will grow a little bit, 120% maybe. You could try it, so you could make them bigger. Yeah, so Beatrice is our 30th pattern of the year. I don't think we've missed one, have we? So is it 30 weeks? Must be. I'm trying to think, have we missed one? And it doesn't stick in my mind. You might be able to tell me. I think we missed one, but I caught up, didn't I? Because I don't know why. I know. I can't remember what happened an hour ago, never mind 3 months ago. So Beatrice. It's a beautiful, beautiful project. It's going to be a nice one as well because it's a bit of patchwork. And actually, I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to own up. On the front of this, there's stitching, like sashiko stitching in a way, just a running stitch. And I can't really call it sashiko. Let's call it a running stitch. Okay, a decorative running stitch. You'll probably be able to see it better on the pattern. Yeah, you can see it very clearly on the pattern. That's what the pattern looks like, and it's quite clear on that picture. But I have down beside me my sashiko machine, and that's how I did it. Because you know, time is of the essence, and I would love to sit down in a shady park bench doing some hand stitching all romantically. I ain't got the time. So I got the sashiko machine out and I cheated. Well, it's not really a cheat. It's just the fact I've got the machine, so I might as well use it. So I'll probably use it tonight if that's okay with you. I was toying with the idea of leaving the stitching off, but I thought, nah, we should do the stitching. Stick to the plan. But you don't have to do that. You could put beach huts back and front. You don't have to use the beach huts at all. And the pattern piece, which is here, there, just use that for back and front. I've said it's for the back, and you use it as a template to cut the front. It'll all become clear as we go along. So there we are. We're going to start creating Beatrice. Now, because I've done 2 roofs the same and a third one different, again, this is entirely up to you. You will end up making 4 flying geese, which is obviously enough for front and back. You only need 6, obviously, or you could make a couple of pouches. If you bring a third colour in, I've only used 2. I'm going to use 1 tonight just to change it, just to make it different. If you use 3, so each roof is different, you'll end up with 12 flying geese, in which case you could make 4 pouches. I think that's right with the maths. Anyway, there we are. So we'll see her on the overhead as we go through the next hour. It's a case of working through the pattern really. Obviously I can't show you the pattern. If you're a gold member, it's on the projects page. It's part of your freebie for being a gold member. If you are, I've just picked up a piece of my zip, that's lucky. If you are the digital pass holder, then it's on the digital pass page for August on the website. You just need to remember your password. If you're neither gold, neither digi, then it's on the website for just £1, which is a barjan. It's a barjan. Anyway, let's crack on before we get told off for wasting your time. So there we are. Just put my hand there so you can see something. Well, I move that just slightly out of the way. So we're going to make beach huts. Now, I've made 2 already just to save a bit of time, but I'm going to use just 1 piece of fabric, 1 square tonight. Obviously I've already made these, but out of this 1 square, and on the pattern, I'll tell you what it says, it's all colour coded because there's an awful lot of bits going on here. Let me just tell you what this bit is. It is, here we go, no, 2, where, oh yes. 2 3-inch squares, and that's in green, so that's your squares for the roof. You're making 8 in total, that's right. Okay, so I'm just diversifying. So in the pattern it says 2, and that's because you could do the middle one a different colour. But obviously it creates a lot more flying geese, so you've got to be aware of that before you start. If you only have the 3, it's perhaps more frugal if you just use 1 piece of fabric, okay, because 1 piece, a 3-inch square, will make 4 flying geese, okay? Just so you're completely and utterly aware of what we're doing. So the first thing we're going to do is obviously get our square, put it on point, it's much easier, and then we're going to put our little squares on, and the little squares are referred to gosh, as the side of roof, and it's the same as the outer fabric. I'm using white linen, so it's the same as the outer fabric. So whatever you use for the outer, let's show you, this being the outer, these are the bits that we're putting on now, these side bits here. Okay, so if you have a look close up, you can see the little patchwork pieces. Okay, there's nothing to be frightened of with this, nothing at all. It's all just lovely. You just got to be careful of your 1/4 inch, and I would say do a scant. Do a scant, because then you'll know that you've got your 1/4 inch fine. In fact, I've done that, and then I was going to draw my lines. So what I've done first of all, I've laid them on top of each other, and I'm going to draw 1/4 inch line either side of that centre line. Okay, now you don't have to do all this drawing. I do this because you can see it, and also, you know, quite honestly, it doesn't matter how many years you've been sewing, it's always best to be as accurate as you can. So I'm putting my 1/4 inch line on there. Let's just stop the flashing. So I'm putting the centre line underneath. I'll just move it so you can see. I'm just putting that on the 1/4 inch line. I'm sorry if it's going to flash, I can't stop that from happening. And I'm going to draw another little line along here. Okay, so that's my second one. So I'm not stitching on that centre one, although I have done in the past, because you forget. Doesn't matter how long you've been doing these things, you still forget the rules. But it doesn't matter, because you're going to cut along that line anyway. So those are your drawn lines, and the best thing to do is when you're machining, have it so the top one is uppermost. Okay, so in other words, let me just get my scissors, it's the one on top, okay, because then the machine just flows through it and it doesn't pucker it. Other way around, and it might. Also, when I come to stitch this now, I'm going to stitch just inside this line. So although we drew using our ruler on the 1/4 inch line, just by drawing on that line, I've added a pen line, which is a hair's breadth. I don't want that to be a hair's breadth, so I'm going to stitch just inside my drawn line. Okay, just inside, and that makes a nice sort of scant-ish. Yes, Abigail, they are fun to make. The mathematics does my head in, because as you know, I'm not a mathematical type person. I'm just moving my mouse around. It's like playing musical chairs with a mouse here. Yeah, mathematics is definitely not my thing. It really is not. It's, yeah, it drives me crazy. So, how do I get by? I have no idea. Let's remove the pattern. So what we're going to do is stitch along those drawn lines now. Okay, so you're not going to see huge amounts, but I'll show you when I've done. Obviously I'm using an off-white thread, a cream thread, so you won't be able to see much, but you'll get the gist. You'll get the gist. Let's bring the foot control in. So like I said, I'm going just inside that drawn line, removing my pins as I go, doing the best I can. The thing about this, you have to be fairly accurate, okay, fairly accurate. So again, just put our foot down, and I'm just going on that inside line. Obviously we've got our right sides facing down, so right side up on here, this one, and right side, if there was a right side, facing down. So there's my 2 lines stitched. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my little iron on, and a little bit later I'm going to put my big iron on, because we're going to do H250, which is, it needs the big iron. So I'm going to put that mat on there so you can see. Sorry about the state of my desk, you can see all my wires and my mouse. So we'll give that a press. And all that does, first of all, it does bed the stitches in, but you might be able to see the stitch lines a little bit better. See if I can bring it in, maybe you can see. Whoop. Okay, and what we're going to do is just cut through the middle. Now look, you really don't have to worry about getting your rotary cutter out at all. It's you know, you just want the pieces to be cut, which we've done. And then what I want you to do is to flip those ears over. And because I'm using linen and this is Liberty, let me just move that slightly. I'm going to flip my ears, so which of these? Underneath the Liberty. You might find you want to do it the other way around, but I'm sort of got two very different fabrics here. Okay, so you'll end up with two of those. Okay, you'll end up with two that look like that. Okay, I think that's easy enough. So then what we're going to do is get our next piece, which already has the line drawn through because it saves us a bit of time. And we're going to, again, you can draw your lines on here. Now look, if you've got a 1/4 inch foot, please use it. Oh, I haven't changed my camera. Thank you for reminding me. It was fun though, you got to see some of my machine. Right, so, okay. What a twit. Do you want me to do that bit again? I can do that bit again if you like. I tell you what I'll do, in fact, let's just move that back there like that. Let's put it back to how it was. Let's do that, let's put it together. I need somebody to supervise me. So there's our two squares that we drew on. I've used the iron to get rid of the ink so you can't see it, but what I've done is I've just cut down the centre, so I've stitched along here, you can see that, and I've just cut down the centre, so we've got two halves that look like that. Honestly, you couldn't make it up really, could you? And like I said before, because I'm using Liberty here and linen here, I'm going to tuck my ears under, so let's get rid of that one there. And these little ears are going to go under like that. They'll kind of want to go because of the difference of the fabric. There we go. So I just push that back and you can see how that looks. Okay. So the next thing is to put the other square on to make our flying goose. And all we need to do is pop it on there like that. Now, like I just said before I was realised we were being ridiculous, draw your line anyway. Excuse me. If you've got a 1/4 inch foot, you're going to use that as your guide and you're going to stitch 1/4 inch away from each side of that line. If you don't have a 1/4 inch foot like I don't have on my, you like the look of my desk, it's quite super up close. Thank you, Abigail, it's very kind of you. If you don't have a 1/4 inch foot, you might be as well to do yourself a line. Well, I like to keep you guessing. I do like to keep you guessing. So use your ruler again and just draw yourself a line. Don't forget what we're doing is we're going to stitch inside that 1/4 inch line because we're putting a pen line on there as well. We're kind of extending that 1/4 inch just by a slight amount, but you know, with patchwork, slight amounts make all the difference. So there's our center line there. These are the two lines I've drawn, and I'm going to stitch just inside that inked line there and just inside that ink line there. Okay, I'm so glad you're keeping up with me. So don't forget, I'm stitching just inside. And then down the other side. And if you're just going to do all three roofs the same, then you're just going to do this with one 3-inch square. So I've stitched along there. Now if I use my iron, remove the drawn lines, you can see where my stitching is, yeah? And then what we're going to do is we're just going to cut it up the middle. And like I say, if you want to use your rotary cutter and ruler, by all means. But quite honestly, you know, please don't waste your time. Just get your scissors out and give it a trim. And then we're going to flip that back, press that. Let me just do that with my fingers. Press that, and that is your first flying goose. Okay, and we're going to trim all this, so don't worry if you're a little bit out. And when you press it, just try and keep it square, because these things, a lot of this is on the bias and it could easily twist. So try and keep it square. And that's your first flying goose. And of course you've got another one here. Okay, and then if we repeat it on the other half we did, then you're going to get another little one. So, but we only want one because I've already made 2 beach huts up. So let's just press that back. I'm going to press it that way. I'm going to press it where the linen is most comfortable. The Liberty will go, it's a Liberty Tana lawn, so it will go anywhere I tell it. The linen, not so much. So it needs a little trim, but I'm okay with that. That's good. So the next thing we're going to do is stitch our beach hut on, our actual body. So there's my piece, all the measurements are in the pattern, and this is going to be just slightly wider than your piece that you've just made. Okay, you'll find that it fits with a little bit sort of hanging over the edge. You can cut your dog ears off if you want, if it's something that bothers you. Just give them a little trim, and that's what you're stitching. So you can see it overhangs just a wee bit either side. Okay, depends on your stitching really. It might be perfect, it might not. So we're going to do a 1/4 inch along there. This time I'm just going to use the marks on my machine and just come all the way down. Little back stitch, although we might trim that. And so we've stitched along there, and that is the start of our little beach hut. But you can see it needs a trim, and I give you the dimensions in the pattern of what you trim it to, and they're, like I say, they're all the same. So I'll give this a little press again, because we're doing a little bit of patchwork. I will keep pressing certain bits because it all relies on the accuracy of your pressing and your stitching and all that sort of thing. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, hey guys, we're going to go back to the overhead because I know you like being there. You can bet anything you like that I'll still be getting comments about that over the next few weeks and years possibly. All right, so let me just refer to my pattern, make sure that I'm going to cut this to the right size. And in the pattern, it's very detailed. So if I just quickly flash that, it's very detailed. This is one of the biggest patterns that I've written. So let's cut this to size now. I do apologise if you can hear my doggy. She gets very excited this time of the night. And I'm going to trim up one side, and then I'll trim up the other to the correct measurement. So just you get a nice little ruler like this, because it really helps. It's easier to handle, and it's just a lovely size to maneuver about. Let me just check, make sure that they're all the same. Yeah. So nice little slice off the bottom of that. And there we have our 3 little beach huts. But of course, like I said, you might want to do different coloured roofs. And if you do, just remember you need to have more squares to start off with to make them, okay? And more of the little squares as well. So the next thing we're going to do is to attach our sashing. So we need a sashing in between our houses, our beach huts, like that. And then we need 2 pieces at the end like that. Okay, you can see, you don't need me to move that, you can see what that looks like. Says she, moving it, because I like to see that you can see it. At least you're on the right camera this time, it's a bonus. So you've got the 2 bigger side pieces here and here, and 2 smaller pieces there and there. Okay, so now we're going to stitch these together. So it's just a case of right sides together. If it's appropriate for you, with linen it doesn't matter. And we're just going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance down here, and then we're just going to add on the next one and the next one, the next one. But get everything prepared so you're ready to stitch them all together. So let's go to the machine. Let's just bring it in. I promised to switch the camera this time, because I'm good like that. And let's get it so you can see. So the first one we're going to do is that left side. So again, 1/4 inch seam allowance, little back stitch if you want. I mean, all of these edges are going to get caught in the seam allowances, so you don't really need a back stitch because they're going to get trapped in the seam. So there's the first big one attached. So now we're going to do one of the little ones. So just right sides together again. And I don't want you to worry about your points and trying to get it so it looks magnificent, because by the time you've put the whole thing together, you and anybody else is not going to notice whether your points are absolutely spot on. So there we are. So there's the first little bit. So now we're going to add the third or the middle beach hut. Pop that under the machine. Where did I get the ruler from, Margaret? Oh my gosh, that little one there. It might be on my Amazon shop. I've lost it now. Oh, it's a creative grid, so I shouldn't think it'll be on my Amazon shop. It's creative grids. I must admit, they're not my absolute favourite. So easy are very, very good. Simple rulers. I like them. There's not much written on them. And I think Abigail was saying that the other day. So perhaps have a sip of sherry. No, maybe even worse, won't it? So now we're going to put the little piece on, the little piece of sashing, and all the way down. Again, it's habit doing a back stitch, I suppose. So that's that one. You can see as we build it. So it's quite easy. I think at first glance you think, oh my gosh, that looks incredibly complicated. It's absolutely not, because what you need to do is break it down into bite-sized chunks. And once you've done that and you've got over the first little bit, the rest is a doddle. We've all done pouches before, and I'm sure you're all the world's expert at pouches. So there's the third little beach hut. So now we're going to put our other side on over here. And that's the last one. So at the moment we've got a band that will go across the front of our pouch. And it needs a press. You can see what it looks like. It's okay, but it needs a press. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to add the top and bottom sections. Isn't it pretty? I like the stripes. I wanted stripes on the original one, and it just didn't. It didn't happen. I don't know why. So let's get my little mat in. I need a new little mat. It's looking a bit tired. Now again, because we're using linen, the linen will want to go probably, well, I'm going to say it probably want to go and follow, but in actual fact we've got seams here, so I'm going to make it go out and out here. It'll almost tell you where it wants to go, and in actual fact it kind of oh look, I caught my seam there. That's a nuisance. I don't like doing that, but there we are. And out like that. So you can see how all the seams, well, you can't see them now because they've all folded in on each other, but because of the all of the bulk, if you like, here and here, it lends itself to that. and then press from the front. What you got to do is make sure there's no pleats, tucks, folds with your patchwork. Make sure I kind of just pull it a little bit. Let me just get that more in shot. So I kind of get my iron on the end here and pull this just a little bit to open up the seams. Don't go crazy, but just pull it a little bit and all your seams will open up and it will look fab. I'm just going to turn that down a wee bit. So the next thing we're going to do is actually put the top and bottoms on. So there's our top, and it will be slightly different size. I've done it deliberately so we've got plenty of room. And this is the bottom part. Okay, so we're going to stitch one to the other and then one to the other. Right sides together. It doesn't matter which way you do it. Doesn't matter if you do that the bottom first and then the top, you know, it doesn't matter. So let's just move you back there. The stripe fabric is lovely. Yeah, it's one of those, I don't know, it reminds you of holidays and seasides, and of course this month's theme is beach, and I think it's pretty typical, isn't it, of the beach theme. So there we are. So all the way along, and do make sure that you get the right piece. So this wider piece goes on the bottom. Okay, don't do it the other way round because it might throw the design a little bit. So again, all the way along. Just try and make sure those seams lay flat. If you've given it a good press, they should. They should lay flat. Okay, so just like I say, it just needs a press, and then that's good to go, sort of. So let's just get that machine out of the way. I'm going to bring in my pressing mat, so just bear with while I get that in place. So I think for a pound, which is basically all this is, I think it's really, really good value. Okay, it's there's a lot of techniques in here that I think you'll all enjoy doing. I mean, if it frightens you, then don't do it, just do a regular pouch, but I think you'll all enjoy it. I really do. Yeah. Right, so this time I'm going to use my big iron because I want to put my stabilizer on now, and as much as I love my little iron, let me just get the heat on it started. I've got it switched off at the moment. I'll switch it on. And even though it lifts up, you know, if you've got an Olicio, even though it lifts up, you still want to keep it off your mat. Yeah, definitely. So let's have a quick look. So what we want to do now is to put our stabilizer on this piece, and on the backing as well, because I haven't done that yet. And I'm just going to stabilise the whole piece. Having those bits on the ends really annoy me, so I'm going to cut them off. Let's just trim those away. And this one here. That's it. So I'm going to, stabilise the whole lot. I'm going to stabilise the back. And I'm actually going to use the template to cut them at the same time. Now, of course, you don't have to do it that way. That's just how I'm going to do it. You might have already cut this out, and it's quite a nice big piece. It's far too big. But this is how I did it before when I was making up the sample. But obviously, I've got to think about you guys when you're stitching to make sure that you can follow me okay. So there's my iron heated up. Let's bring it in, and I'm going to iron from the back just because I don't want extreme heat on my linen. And I'm just going to use because we're using the big iron, it should take little or no time to get this stabilizer on there. This H250 is just a monkey for sticking. So, and also you want to be careful if this is a beautiful, beautiful white linen. And I mean, you can see there's a couple of little marks there. I don't know if it's come off, which iron it's come off of, but you just want to be really careful. They say in the instructions 8 seconds to stabilise your fabric with H250. I'm not one to argue, so it kind of nearly gets 8 seconds, but I do move it about. So we're putting the sticky side or the glue, the shiny side of the H250 on the wrong side of our outer fabric. Just making sure that it's well adhered, and ideally you're going to let this cool. Okay, and now I'm going to turn my big iron off and get it out of the way, and that's all I wanted it for. So let's just put it somewhere so it's safe. That's it. Okay, so I've got 2 pieces stabilised now, this piece and this piece. So all I'm going to do is lay the template over the top, and I'm going to cut both at the same time. Now, what you ought to do really is pin these 2 layers together so they don't wriggle. You only need a couple of pins. You don't need anything more than a couple of pins to hold your 2 layers together. Now, you don't have to do it this way. You do not have to do it this way. You can use the template and cut out the outer, and then you can use the template to cut out the front. So let's pop that down. Now, another good trick is to put some glue, some spray fabric, a temporary spray glue on the back of your pattern piece, and we're just going to stick that down. Okay, now you might not be able to see, but there's my piece that I've just created, so it's just about the right size, and obviously my backing is huge it is. So because I've got all these layers, I can cut them in one go. I've already cut my lining, so we're kind of ahead of ourselves a little bit. Rotary cutter is good, especially because we've got nice straight lines. If it flashes, I do apologise. It's like everything in life. Some things we can control and some things we can't. Ooh, I was a little bit off there. Do you see that? Let me just trim that. It's because it's on a pin. If you're going to pin like I've just done, use a flat-headed pin. That way you won't have your ruler wriggling around. Because the pins are underneath, I've used glue to hold my pattern in place. And the pins are nowhere near my rotary cutter, okay, if any of you worrying or wondering. So here we go. Let's just get along here. Normally I stand up for cutting, so I'm kind of trusting my luck always okay. So there's the majority of it cut, so now we just want to cut our little corners. And you can see it's quite an intriguing shape, isn't it? And that's deliberate, obviously, to make it become a really nice rectangle after we've stitched it. Okay, so now we've cut through all our layers. Oh, the other thing is, and I didn't check. I didn't check. You want to make sure, phew. You want to make sure your beach huts are the right way up. Phew, phew, phew. So the bigger end is the bottom, the shorter end is the top, or the shorter side of the top. Just make sure your beach huts are in the right place. Gosh, I didn't check. That's sheer luck, guys. Okay, so now we've got 2 pieces. Okay, we've got a beach hut piece, which just looks glorious, and this is the back piece. But of course you could make the back the same as the front, by all means. Yeah, that's so pretty. So the next thing we're going to do is put the zip in. Now, for the zip, and I hope I haven't lost all my bits and bobs, we've got the zip cut to a specific size. I've already tacked the end, so my end is open. I mean closed. And all we're going to do is get our fabric. Now I'm using the same fabric as my roofs because I wanted to. And we're going to do right sides down onto our zip. Don't worry, now this zip is a little bit more than an inch across. Some zips are an inch, some are just a little bit wider, but I wouldn't worry because you're going to catch all this in the seam. You're going to get stitch as near as you can to the zipper teeth, so I shouldn't worry a jot. So right sides down to the right side of your zip, flip that over, and then right sides down, gosh, there's hardly a difference, right sides down onto the back of the zip, so you're making a kind of a zip sandwich. Pop a clip in just to hold it. Make sure it's square. Oh, come on, that's it. Make sure that's the same. And then same on the other side. I can't really tell the difference between, but it is a lawn, and the lawns are so fine. Gosh, they're gorgeous. I used to make dresses out of Tana lawn and they were beautiful, and everything had to have a French seam. We weren't allowed to use a zigzag or anything like that. It had to be a French seam. Yeah. So there we are. So you've sandwiched your zip either end with your two little tabs there, and all we're going to do is stitch a 1/4 inch along that edge and along that edge there. And we're going to then stitch the ends together. So we'll do that all in one hit. Let me just move all my bits and bobs so I can get you in on the side camera. Move this in. There we go. So 1/4 inch, obviously you need to remove your clip. Little back stitch if you want, it's pure habit, isn't it? Just make sure your fabric doesn't shift. Go carefully over your zip in case your machine doesn't like it. If you're using a metal zip, I would jump the zip. I would literally jump the zip. Oh, have I run out of thread? Just bear with, folks. Oh, I've run out of thread. Run out of bobbin. Okay, just a minute. Let's go to the front. Yay, let's go to the front. And these bobbins won't fit on my bobbin winder. All of my other machines do, unless I'm just being too careful. If anybody else has got this type of bobbin and it will go on the bobbin winder, let me know. It's a metal one, it's the Juki, and they are a bit peculiar. So just, yeah, let me know, but I can't get it on the bobbin winder at all. And I love using the bobbin winder because it saves me from, hold on, let me get hold of that. It's like I've never done it before. That's it. Just want to take that thread off. There we are. Goodness gracious. It all makes interesting viewing. And do you know what? I meant to check the bobbin before I started tonight, because now look, you'll see that I'm holding this. That's because I am very untrusting of machines, right? My other Juki, which is a UX8, it hates doing bobbins, and that's why I bought the bobbin winder. It will do it, it's user error. It's user error. So let's just whiz that. That'll do. And we'll get going. Gosh, needs a clean, I think. So let's just get this threaded up. I mean, this Juki is a very, it only does straight stitch. It's a basic machine. It's fantastic for free motion work. It's a lovely little workhorse, and I kind of swap between this one and the UX8. My Benina, which sits up on the top shelf, I haven't used for, well, probably 2 years, and it's a shame because it's a really, really lovely machine. I'd never get rid of it, of course. But these two Jukis are absolute workhorses, and I wouldn't be without them, that's for sure. And our Kath has got this machine. She bought it because she'd seen me demonstrate with it, and then asked me about it, and I said, well, you know, you need to understand it only does straight stitch, but it does a fantastic free motion. And she loves it as well now, so we're in good company. Right, let's go back to the side camera again. Let's carry on. Where did I buy the linen from? Gosh, I'm not sure actually. I got it as like lots of different colours. It might have been eBay. Because I got it in about 10 different colours. Because if I'm doing a project, if I'm using, I think it was when I was making amber with one of my fabulous bags, and it really is a fabulous bag. Again, that's another favourite of mine. Then I experimented with different colours for amber, and consequently I bought pinks, yellows, bright greens, white, loads of different colours. And I think they're all like, I don't know, 30 inches square or something like that from memory. So there we are. So there's our ends stitched on, so you can see what they look like. And then all we're going to do, give it a press if you want. But what we're going to do is stitch these ends down. You know where the raw edges are? We're going to stitch those down, so they're both layers are nicely attached and not floating around being a nuisance. If you're using fine material like the Tana lawn, you might find you need a leader and a follower. If you don't know what that is, Google it, or look on YouTube and search leader and follower. So again, we're just pinching down those two ends, and we're just going to stitch. And I start stitching 1/4 of an inch in, because this is literally a holding stitch. So you can see what that looks like, okay? So the next thing we're going to do is put the zip in. Now, you don't be afraid of zips. They are the most simplest of things. Really, you've just got to sort of have a little bit of a chill pill moment when you're doing a zip, because they are so easy. So let's just take our front beach huts. We're going to do right sides down onto our beach huts. You can see the zip fits perfectly. We're going to be stitching on this bit here, on this side. Line up your edge of your tape with the raw edge here, and then we're going to do the lining as well. And this is my lining. Isn't it glorious? And that's from Higgs and Higgs, I can tell you where that's from. And we're just going to pop that over the top, and we're going to stitch all of those in one go. Now, if you want to, you can use your quilter's tape, obviously, or you can pin, or you can clip, whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you happy. That's what you're going to do. Quilter's tape is the absolute bee's knees for doing zips, but just for a bit of speed, I'll just put my clips in to hold. Now, for me, I always stitch where my machine can feel the teeth. Oh, sorry, I got it, so I'm keep remembering where I am. So this is the right side of my zip. So right side lining, right side zip, right side of my beach huts facing down. And I like it so my machine can feel those teeth, okay? I don't want, I don't do it from the back, I always do it from the front where the teeth are. And obviously, because we've got an enclosed zip with zip tabs, somewhere along here is a zip slider, and you'll really have to move it to get it out of the way. Again, that's not complicated, it's just the pain we have to go through of putting in a zip. And you know what? As soon as you do one, you'll wonder why on earth you worried about doing zips. They are super easy. So just line up your fabrics. Obviously, I'm going to take mine off straight away. Your seam allowance here now is about 3/8 of an inch rather than 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so it's a good, I would say, 3/8, because you want to get quite close to the teeth. I'm going to move my zip a bit, and then I'll move it back in a sec, my zip slider, because I much prefer to stitch with my zip closed. It's just one of my little foibles. We're going to move that zip slider along. Now if you struggle with that, turn your project to the side. You'll find it ever so much easier to move that zip slider along if you just turn your project to the side and move it along that way, rather than try to get underneath all your gubbins. Okay, just make sure you're still lined up. Make sure you've also had your needle in the entire time, and then just bring all your edges together. Let the side of your foot follow the line of the zip, and then when you're done, when you've done that little bit there, that's what you end up with. Just gorgeous. And we're going to top stitch that so it looks even more gorgeousness. And then we're going to do the other side. So again, we're doing, let me just move this, you're all right staying there for a moment. So again, we're going to do right side down. Let me get my piece. And so now we're using the back piece. So we're going to do right side down with the back piece. I'll try and keep it in shot for you. So that goes right side down. So right side down, right side down, right side of my zip. You can see the teeth. Right side down, and we're going to put our lining right side up. So if we flip it over, you'll be able to see that our linings are sitting on top of each other. Okay, wrong side of the zip, lining. Okay, if you just follow that every time, you won't go wrong. So right side of your zip, let me just hold it up so you can see. Let's do it this way. Right side of your lining. Oh my goodness, come along. Right side of your lining. Right side of your zip showing. And the right side of your outer piece on top. You've made a zip sandwich. Use your tape, use your pins, use your clips, use super glue if it means that you're going to get this in the right place. I don't really mean super glue. Okay, I'm being facetious, but you could use fabric glue. Absolutely no reason why not. So let's just line up all our edges. Again, it's about 3/8 of an inch. And I'll move that zip slider when I get nearer to it. And I have to say, a pouch is always a nice thing to make. It's very satisfying, especially if you take your time and just enjoy the moment. So look, we've got to move that zip slider because it's just there. So turn your work to the side, go into the center and move that zip slider, if I can get hold of it, across like that, and you'll find it a lot easier than trying to get through your gubbins. So line everything up, take your time. You won't see me rushing. I took ages to make the first one because A, I was thoroughly enjoying it, and B, if you rush you'll make mistakes. So now all you're going to do is open up your lining. Okay, now you might want to press this. Open up your lining, flip it over so you've got the right side of your bag facing. Again, give it a press. We're going to top stitch. Just make sure when you top stitch that it's all equal all the way down. So if you've been a bit wiggly with your zip, then move the fabric so the distance between your seam that you've just done here is the same all the way down with your zip teeth, and you can manipulate that yourself. Another top tip is to get your pins and pin these layers together. Pin your lining and your outer together so you know that your lining is exactly the same as your outer, and that way you know you'll stitch it in the right place. So I kind of just pull them. I pull them so they're sitting. I kind of just, you know, pull the lining out so it's sitting. Do your zip up. We will undo it in a sec, as long as I remember. So now you're going to stitch all the way along Take your time. You can increase your stitch length to 3. That's always lovely. You don't need to move your zip slider because you should have plenty of room coming up to your zip that it won't get in the way. Straight past the zip slider and break off your threads. Have a look, see? All right, that's what we're aiming for. Flip it round so you're always stitching the same as you did before, so you're not confused. And just pull that lining so it's level with your outer fabric, and just take your time. If you do lengthen your stitch, you will go faster unless you turn your speed down. So please bear that in mind, because your machine might run away with you. That's all I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it. So there we are. Not bad for a beginner. Nice bit of top stitching there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Makes a huge difference. Open the zip. Okay, open the zip. Pauline says, can't wait to try this tomorrow. I love it. Thank you very much, Pauline. That's a very kind thing to say. It is a lovely pattern, I must admit. I do love a decent pouch. Right, so there we are. Now, if you look at the lining also, I mean, obviously, I'm going to say to you 100 million times, and that's no exaggeration, press, 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 stitch, then press, stitch and press. Oh, we've got spammers. Oh, hurrah, we've missed them. We haven't had them for ages. How lovely. So, I'm being facetious again. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our linings together, like that. Okay, linings together, right, and our outers together. So that's pretty standard. And we're going to stitch, I'm going to zoom you out just slightly so I can get all of the pouch in. And just bear with, sorry about tomorrow's washing. Well, it might even be tonight's washing actually. It's very sticky in it. Oh no, too much information. Right, so on the lining, pin, because it's not stabilised, it's nice and thin. It doesn't take kindly to the weight of clips. So pin, it's much more friendly. Don't forget we're going to leave a turning gap, so don't forget your double pins. Again, all this is in the pattern. It's a very, very comprehensive pattern. Very, very comprehensive. We have Kath and I have a standard format for our patterns, and we generally only do so many pages for a Making It Monday project because of the affordability of them. We don't want to spend hours and hours and hours because it's just not profitable to us at all. So we make them to a certain standard, but this time I decided to push the boat out and give you a lovely project with a little bit of patchwork, a little bit harder, let's say. Now, I'm using clips on the outers because this is heavyweight. It's linen, it's stabilised, it's heavyweight. It can take the weight of the clips. This is beautiful. Beautiful French cotton. I can't tell you how delicious it is. It won't take the weight of the clips. It'll be difficult to handle. So here we go. You're going to forget about all the corners. You're going to stitch along here. Can you see that? Along here. Along here. Across here. Down to there. This is terrible drawing. Down to there and stop, down to there and stop, and obviously you're going to stitch all the way across there. So you can do all of that in one go. Don't worry about your tabs, just do whatever your tabs want to do. You're going to stitch all the way along there, this bit, and all the way along there, okay? Okay, that's what we're going to do now. And then we're practically done. And we'll be a little bit over time, so I do apologise. It makes up for the fact that you were on my overhead for ages. I should never forget that. Right, so what we can do is we can start from the double pins, because we know that's where we got to stop and start. You're doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. If you have done a stitch length of 3, then please reduce it down to 2.4, 2.5, whatever your standard setting of your machine is. If you're not sure what your standard setting is, switch your machine off, switch it back on again, and it will automatically default to that setting. So because we're now just stitching over tabs and not zip, it's actually kind on your machine. It's also kind on you. So down to the bottom, break your threads. Across the bottom now, let's take the clips out. 1/4 inch seam allowance. My drawing looks like it's almost 1/2 inch. Right across the bottom, ignoring the corners, and then straight across. As I said, don't worry about your zip tabs. If you're that fastidious, you can have a look and make sure they're either pointing up or down, in or out. But don't fuss about it. It really isn't worth it. So I just had a little difficulty going over that. So I think it's fine. If it's something you need to unpick it. Nobody's going to tell you off for a bit of unpicking. Certainly not me. Seeing as how I had to unpick something about 6 times the other day. I can't remember what it was I was doing. It was awful. 6 times at least. So obviously you can ignore my drawing, but you can see we've stitched along all the edges, as I said. Okay, and I've left my turning gap just here at the bottom edge of the lining. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to box our bottoms, and all you're going to do is pull your points apart. You can nest your seams if you want to. With the lining, I wouldn't give it another thought if they're nested or not, because it is just your lining, and because you're only got 1 layer of fabric, assuming you're not using anything ridiculously heavyweight, then it doesn't matter if they nest or not. You're not making a quilt. We get too hung up sometimes on the rules, and there's no rules in this house. Well, that's what I tell John, especially when I've bought something nice. There's no rules to say I can't have it. No rules. It's not written on the blackboard anywhere, so I'll get away with it. So just make sure your points have been pushed out. 1/4 inch again, and it's nice and easy when the corners have been cut off like we did. Marion says she's going to make 2 of the fronts to use more of the flying geese. Totally 100% go for it, Marion. I just didn't want to have it in this pattern because it would mean that I would have to demonstrate that, and you know, quite honestly, we've got enough to do, haven't we? So absolutely 100% use the flying geese on the back, as it were. Make it double-sided, or make more pouches and sell them, because these would sell like hotcakes, especially if you make them in some gorgeous linen, and it's not expensive. Linen is not expensive for what it is. So again, put your fingers in the corners, pull those points apart, try and nest your seams. I'm not being too fussed about this. Try and nest your seams, because somebody will pick it up and say, oh, okay, yeah, okay, not bad, not bad. You bet anything. And when they do, you have my permission to tap the back of their wrist. So there we are. We've boxed our corners. Well, we've done all 4. So let's. I'm going to stitch the turning gap, but let's just go back to the front, or rather on the overhead. So you're a little bit further away this time, but that's okay. I'm sure you won't mind. And as long as you've opened your zip, you'll be able to get your hand right in there and pull it out. So I go for the furthest away corner and pull it out. The rest will follow. If you want to trim your seams back, you can. I don't think it's necessary with this, but you might want to. The one thing you want to do is, while it's in this state, is obviously stitch your turning gap. All right, I will do it because this is such a lovely pouch. I'll probably use this one. Well, I'll probably use the other one to be honest. The other thing is, obviously we're in a bit of a mess, so we want a lovely turning tool, which I will get. Oops, excuse me for leaning across. And go in through your turning gap and just push those corners out. Make a really good job of it. Not bad for meeting of the seams. I wouldn't lose any sleep over if they were a little bit wonky. Push those corners out so they're nice and neat, because this is really your only opportunity to do that. Again, not bad, not bad. The main thing is, now tuck your lining in. Now the main thing is getting these zip tabs out and square, so you want it to look like that. So this is where you need to get your thumb in there initially. So get your thumb in there, here, and push out as best you can. Now for some people that will be an issue. I appreciate that. For some people it will be okay. So that's not a bad job. So again, I'm going to move my zip slider a little bit. That's it. I'm going to get my thumb in there at the end of the zip tab and the lining, and I'm going to use that as to push it out. Okay, that looks gorgeous. If it's not so gorgeous at the other end, then work your magic with your turning tool, your pokey tool, something blunt, right, to push it out. You don't use scissors. Do not use scissors. Now that is the perfect bag. The other thing you could do before you turn it through is, when we made, if you're not a Goldie you won't know about this, but when we made Annie, which is going to be in the shop next month, and we actually join our corners here of our lining and our outer, which automatically makes your lining sit properly. It's a good technique. So you could try that. So that needs a really good press, because obviously we've been using linen. And what you might want to do is do like they do in the shops and fold that back and press that within an inch of its life with a nice steam. So there we are. So there's our second one done. So there's the original one, which is just very antique-y and gorgeous, and then this is the second version, which is very fresh and vibrant, quite different. Yeah, you've got a beautiful make there. Oh, I didn't use the sash comb machine. Did anybody say? I bet somebody said, Lizzie, where's the sash comb machine? After you've stabilized your front, then stitch it, okay, because you've got a nice firm sort of base to work on with your embroidery if you're going to do a running stitch. So that's the running stitch on the original one. Okay, I bet somebody somewhere was saying. I forgot completely. I was having such a lovely time. So there we are. There we are. There's Beatrice, and I think she's gorgeous. Just needs a press because she's linen. Really bright and zingy. Nice red zip. Nice stripy fabric, quite different from the antique-y sort of look of that one, isn't it? Gives it a completely different look. So think about your fabrics and what you want them to look like when they're finished. So there we are. I hope you love her. I hope you go and buy the pattern if you haven't, if you're not part of the Digital Pass group or the Gold members group, because you know Goldies get it for free. Don't forget also to go and buy your Children in Need bear pattern, which is our beach bear pattern. Now, Gemma made that for me, Gemma Joy. Isn't it beautiful? I love him so much. So go and get your Children in Need pattern, please. Go and purchase the pattern and have a little look at the pattern. As I say, it's really a concise pattern. It's fantastic. Right, I will see you all again. Next week we've got the lovely Kath, who's going to be demonstrating her Making It Monday for the beach theme, and then it'll be back to me the following week. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that you make one. That would be super. I'd love to see them, and I will see you all again very shortly. If you're in the gold group, I'll see you Thursday. Bye everybody. Good night.